Bloodwolf Arts Studio. Unleash the artist within.
Welcome to Bloodwolf Arts Studio, and I am your host, Mr. Moonlight. So today we're going to be talking about my latest read, The Grinch. I am reading the Lorax. I thought it'd be a lot of fun. This was my Halloween costume this year. So the Lorax was written in 1971 by Dr. Seuss, and there's a lot of speculation about what inspired this story of the Lorax. Anybody who's not familiar, it's pretty popular, but it's basically just a story about a guy called the Onceler. He comes across this magical place where there's all these beautiful trees, the truffula trees, and they're so soft that he decides to knock them all down with absolutely no regard for the environment, and he ends up knocking out all the trees just to make money. Dr. Seuss went to Africa where he wrote most of this story, and there was a lot going on at the time. This was like the 1970s when this was written. There was a lot of stuff having to do with environmentalist movements and a lot of raising awareness to environmental problems. And one of the things that they decided, or that people have theorized the story was based on, was that the Lorax was based on, was there's a monkey in Africa called the Padas monkeys, and there was a plant that looks a lot like the truffula trees, supposedly, but it's called the whistling thorn acacia. And in real life, like there's like an asymbiotic relationship between the monkeys, the Padas monkeys, and the thorn bush, because the thorn bush is basically like the fruits that come off of it is 80% of their diet. And one of the theories was posited that makes a lot more sense why the Lorax was a lot more particular about looking after the trees. They have a symbiotic relationship, and it'd make more sense as to why the Lorax was a lot more particular about that tree and preserving it, because it's 80% of their diet in real life. It's also theorized, and it's possible that it could be like a mixture of things, but there's a tree in California where Dr. Seuss actually lived called the Monterey cypress, and the illustration in the stories, they actually look a lot more like that tree, but it's possible there was an amalgamation just because the monkey in Africa looks kind of similar to the Lorax in a couple of ways. But these are all just thoughts and suppositions about what inspired it, because not that anything I was able to find that Dr. Seuss or his wife was able to confirm exactly what inspired it, but it's kind of how art and inspiration goes. A movie adaptation in 2012 that was really popular. A lot of people loved it. When the book was actually originally made, there was actually a lot of people who didn't like the book or its message, because because it was written right around the time when the EPA was created in the United States, which was in 1970, book published in 1971. And there was a lot of controversy on that time about global warming and climate change, and raising awareness of the environment. A lot of people just thinking it wasn't real, and this book ended up being a pretty big statement that a lot of people didn't like, and it ended up becoming so wildly popular that there was actually a lot of states in the United States that actually banned this book, because they said it's brainwashing the kids, making them turn against the logging industry. And that would make a little bit of sense in their mind, I suppose, as far as the economy goes, because the logging industry is like a huge thing in California. And so book like this comes out that says, let's not cut down all the trees. That's political stuff, like messing with the economy, messing with the climate, and then all this controversy about, are we affecting the climate, are we not? That's a lot of stuff that really brought this book out, was the environmental crisis and raising awareness during the time period when it was written. Almost like it made sense that something like this would be created at that point, with the message that it does, which is a really powerful message about the dangers of not taking care of the environment and basically using up all our natural resources for the sake of profits and money, which is still a pretty prevalent issue today. And so moving up to today, there is a lot of utilization of the story of the Lorax and telling the story in schools today, and used by a lot of teachers in teaching about Earth Day. So there's a lot of things that have kind of mixed in that area now, which is amazing that this has had such a far-reaching message. And there's actually a National Lorax Day on March 2nd. That's also Dr. Seuss's birthday. And so this is such a really cool story. It has a profound message, and it's continuing to be a huge thing today that continues to inspire everybody every day to be mindful of the resources we're using and making sure that we're not destroying our environment. So that's a little bit about the Lorax. So go on and head over to my TikTok where I did a reading of the Lorax. TikTok at Mr. Moonlight. You can also follow and subscribe to my Facebook page, Blood Wolf Art Studio, as well as my YouTube channel, Blood Wolf Art Studio. And thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the other side.